We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. The wild market, the Japanese yen. You don't understand it? Don't worry, I do. Why is the market all the way down, all the way up? Why am I losing money? And why are trader sharks doing so well? I will explain it. Here's the good news. More than likely, the lows are in. In other words, the worst case scenario that can happen in my mind right now, barring some sort of bizarre stuff from the Fed, okay, is the worst case scenario is a dip. I apologize. It's a dip, meaning like it can retrace some of the gains. But in my head, 50-something Bitcoin feels super juicy. I'm going to show you a chart regarding the Bitcoin ETF that when somebody pointed it out to me, it was like, it literally blew my mind. We're going to take a look at altcoins. Here's some quick elevator, not investment advice, guidance. If you got altcoins that you don't like anymore, I don't know, maybe it's Cardano and Chainlink, let's say. You got a rally in those things over the last 2 days, dump them. Get rid of them. Use the rally to get rid of stuff you don't like and move into stuff you do like. You know, two examples might be the Bitcoin ETF and Rune. Just pulling two examples. I am going to explain the whole situation with Japan. I am getting tweets. People are like, dude, please explain this to us. I will tell you this. As far as legacy currency nerd stuff goes, I started in currencies in August of 1990, and the stuff that we have seen over the last 36 hours is clearly in the top 3 weirdest things that I've seen. At the end of the day, I don't see any case, right, to take out the recent lows. You can have extreme volatility, selling weakness and buying strength. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're walking into a trap. It's like taping a stake to your leg and dipping it in the ocean and waiting for a shark to come visit, hoping you'll keep your, you'll keep yourself together. Don't do it. Dips are for buying. Rallies are for selling stuff you don't care about. I will give you the guidance. Now, on that note, if you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so that you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please hit the like button. As a reminder, in my Patreon, right? Patreon.com/unhinged crypto. The link is down below. Okay, it's in the description and I dropped it in the chat. Please come check us out. We have historical analysis every day and podcast style guidance where you can turn on a quick 5 to 10 minute video and get real analysis with additional charts, and new altcoin reports for the dip are coming soon. Also a reminder, the beautiful charts that you're seeing today, most of them are coming from LuxAlgo. The QR code takes you to an affiliate link. It actually works inside TradingView. The link is in the description. Trust me when I tell you, if you want to up your TA game, now would be a really good time because this teeth-chattering volatility is not going anywhere. Okay, let's welcome who's here. Bob Marsh, can you please check out Maple because it went from 20 to 9 and now it's back to 14 in one of the most unbelievable moves out there. Silas is here. Super Matt, welcome. Bull Runner, Steve, the DeFi guy in the house, right on time. Forget about it. Let's get after it relentlessly. Almost did this show at 2 o'clock in the morning after what the Bank of Japan did last night. Glad I did it. Kenny R is in the house. Miklo, right? Is the Patreon different? Yes, the Patreon is a whole separate thing. Yes. Okay. Andre, yo. when long on it when it comes to Bitcoin on any dip they give you. Okay, Big Rich does nothing but hodl and accumulate, right? T-Bone, let's go, right? They're going to give you a dip in crypto equities. Take the dip. Take the dip. The Bank of Japan has changed the outlook for crypto equity, and T-Bone is also telling you that there's a recession coming. So not only did the Bank of Japan reverse what they did, but it's pretty obvious that the U.S. economy, if you just look at the collapse in mortgage applications, which I saw before the show came on, we're in a recession. We are in a recession now. It's just a question of when the Fed admits it, which brings in rate cuts or some sort of a problem. And you know there's a problem out there because the Japanese reverse course. They did reverse course. It's like, if you can understand part of what it is, you'll understand how unbelievable. Crypto Crazy is here. Great filibuster with the salute. Okay, Patriot Caveman in the house. Okay, Rich looking for the banana zone. He is digging the Patreon. Please come on in there. It is worth the research that you get there is worth the money. Okay, now let's talk about Japan. So I'm going to bring up some headlines. I know I'm going to take a little risk, you know, because I share the screen and then sometimes I don't remember to reshare the screen, but that's not going to happen today. So if you were a legacy trader, here's what you saw on your Bloomberg terminal last night. Okay, Bank of Japan Uchida won't raise rates when the market is unstable. Must maintain current degree of easing for time being. They just raised rates and talk about easing. Okay, see no big change to Japan, U.S. economic fundamentals. Market reaction to single piece of U.S. data appears to be too big. Okay, so let's talk about what that means. 3 days ago, or actually it's been going on for a month, but the Japanese have a problem. Their currency won't stop falling. It won't. Now, they have problems with demographics. They have problems with inflation, but the falling currency is contributing to this, you know, very problematic inflation issue. So what does the central bank do? The central bank's job is to fight inflation and defend the currency. So what do the Japanese do? They raise rates a couple months ago for the first time in like 30 years, and they spend $100 billion in the foreign exchange market defending the yen. It's like, you guys want to sell the yen? Okay, you're going to meet us. We are going to stop you. And guess what? They did. They went full samurai on the currency market. They went full samurai on the hedge funds, and they made the yen go up. And then they were like, you know what? Just to prove our point, we're going to hike rates again. We're defending our currency. I'm sorry if this creates an inconvenient problem with your Nikkei and S&P position. We're defending the currency. Now, of course, this combined with threats of war, stop-loss selling, BlackRock hammering altcoins to try to get you to sell your Bitcoin, it creates this perfect storm where you get this, you know, outrageous decline in crypto. Now, but it's not that bad because the Bank of Japan made the dollar go down because the yen went up. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't. I mean, it looked horrible, but then as the Japanese are victorious, they defend the yen. 2 days later, they're like, oh, I'm very sorry that we caused a 3% decline in S&P. Please forgive us. We'll never do that again if the market's volatile. We'll wait till everyone's asleep on Christmas before we ever do anything like that ever again. That is literally what they just said. They're like, oh, our currency? Oh, don't worry about our currency. Your S&P position and your leveraged NVIDIA position is much more important. They completely capitulated. That's a legacy word. They completely capitulated. Let me see if I can get the article from Bloomberg where the guy from PIMCO is like, you know, we may need to stop capitulating to to the market, right? In other words, Bloomberg noted several articles right, that the Bank of Japan is sending a dovish signal. Like, we're so sorry we've offended you. Here it is. Bank of Japan's message show how markets keep bullying central banks. The global the global monetary system needs to break the de facto grip investors have on public policy making. This from a gray-haired guy, all right, who runs a stodgy bond fund called PIMCO. Now, this is fascinating, okay, because from a crypto point of view, what just happened? Somebody was defending a fiat currency and they changed their mind because the market S&P went down 4%. Does that sound like a real high integrity environment to you? If anything, the Fed should have cut rates. So the Fed doesn't want to admit there's a problem. So the Japanese have to completely change their mind and take risk with their currency. Does that sound like the world that Satoshi Nakamoto envisioned? Where we have like policies from governments that are all backwards that can't be reversed because the stock market will throw a tantrum? I saw this last night at like 10 p.m. my time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to need to do a stream at 2 o'clock in the morning because Bitcoin's going to turn around and go up. Now, the only thing that's stopping Bitcoin from going up is that, you know, the yen has reversed and the dollar is up. But people, they have completely capitulated. I mean, when you have a central bank literally bowing down to the market, all I can think about is, oh my God, I got to buy Bitcoin. Now, I also talked last night to a friend of mine, right, who is, you know, like I came up with this guy in the markets. Okay, more on Japan in a second. But I came up with the guy in the markets and he said, you know what this feels like to me? This feels like the blow off top in 2017 where the market was like, oh my God, it's going higher. Then it came off. You knew it was over, but you wanted it to retest the high so you could sell. Now, when you want it to go up so you can sell, or you want it to go down so you can buy, does that ever happen? No, it doesn't. So the blow off top, by definition, all blow off tops make no sense. The COVID crash in Bitcoin made no sense, really. And this decline made no sense because it was kind of a perfect storm of, you know, conflict rumors and recession fears and all that. But at the end of the day, people are confused. There was a crash and it made no sense. And if you're looking for the market to make no sense again, you're the one who's not making any sense. Michael Saylor says he personally owns more than $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And everyone's looking for 42K. I said, maybe 48. I'm like, wow, that was dumb. I mean, if you did see 48, I mean, you'd have to have some kind of like, I don't know. I mean, what kind of event are you going to have to take out the recent lows? I can't think of one, right? And if you did, it would be Christmas, but it doesn't work that way in markets. It doesn't. And this morning, they're dipping it and they're scaring everybody again. The market didn't go up as much as it should off the Bank of Japan thing because people are scared. They're scared. And you know what? That's bullish. It's bullish that people are scared. It's bullish that I had time to get on and explain this. Okay, now let's talk about Cramer and let's continue our education on Japan. So one question you're asking yourself is, why does everybody care about what happens to the yen? I mean, aside from central banks kind of embarrassing themselves from going from like this to like this, what's the problem? Okay, well, a falling yen is an engine for speculation. Not just speculation by hedge funds, but speculation like literally everywhere. Investment, especially in Japan, right? The yen falls. So what people do is they borrow money. They borrow yen at like, you know, very low rates. They sell it for dollars and they buy NVIDIA and treasury bonds and bills that yield 5%. They get a whole bunch of money from their US investments. And if the yen is falling without hurting your brain, they're actually paying back less yen than they borrowed. It's called the yen carry trade. And everyone's doing it. So when stocks go down, those are the investments that they hold, and the yen starts to rise and the borrowing rate starts to rise, it's kind of like the party's over. Like you're at the fraternity party and someone flips on the lights at 2 o'clock and said, party's over. That's what everybody was afraid of. And here's Cramer, right, weighing in like way late, saying pathetic how much larger, deeper, and more important market is hostage, right? In other words, the equity market, which is really important, right? The NVIDIA babies, okay? The market is hostage to hedge funds who are trapped in this yen carry trade. There are hedge funds linked with all these big sell-offs. We find out who they are when they go bust. Okay, there is an element of truth to that. In other words, one of the reasons why the Japanese backed off is because if this continued, somebody would blow up, and somebody may blow up anyway. But naturally, as soon as Jim Cramer is concerned about somebody blowing up, the market goes up, right? In other words, I'm like, well, this is going to lead to a problem. Maybe not, right? I mean, if the Fed is dovish and the Bank of Japan doesn't wreck everybody, maybe the lows are in Bitcoin. Stocks, I don't know. But there is no case for Bitcoin sub 50 in my mind after seeing the Bank of Japan last night. Hopefully that helped you. Okay. Again, look at this. Look at these headlines. Japan carry trade chaos brings FTX back. People, FTX is not back. Hey, if anything, Satoshi's case for Bitcoin is what's back, right? Selmer Scientific studies MicroStrategy's success. You should see this PowerPoint presentation from Michael Saylor at Bitcoin Nashville. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to make a new low. Not unless you have a seismic black swan event. Again, this was the tweet at 8:45 last night. Markets have gone too far, won't hike amid volatility. So sorry. Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto, 14 years ago. The utility of the exchange made possible by Bitcoin will far exceed the cost of electricity used. Therefore, not having Bitcoin would be the net waste. And I'm like, oh my God. I hope I wake up tomorrow morning and I hope it's below 60. And when I got on the stream, they were selling it again. Wonderful. Probably because the dollar's higher, but still. You have this kind of currency shenanigans in fiat. They're basically telling you we have no idea what we're doing and we can't unwind bad policies, which is why that guy from PIMCO is like, oh man, this is so bad. This is making them look terrible. It's making them look terrible, but it's making Bitcoin look amazing. Hong Kong crypto ETFs spring to life on the decline. Equity market investors never met a decline that they didn't like. Okay. Right here. I like this. Swan Bitcoin cancels conference amid staff reduction. It doesn't feel like the right time for a festival. Can you believe this? We went from Bitcoin Nashville to sold out orange Bitcoin high tops to, oh, this is not the right environment. Yeah, we can't do anything now. Yeah, it's going to 35K. See what I'm saying? Everyone bullish, everyone bearish, everyone bullish. All you're doing is feeding the sharks. Don't feed the sharks. Don't. Because when you FOMO in, they drop it. When you sell and puke into weakness, they ramp it back up again. Don't fall prey to these people. Don't. You want to have a portfolio mentality. You want to understand what's going on. You want to understand that there is a very low likelihood of some sort of event that takes you back down to the lows just so it can be a tidy buy. Frankly, at this point, if it goes down to the lows, something terrible would have to happen for that. Something terrible. I like this. Bitcoin bulls obliterated, but are we too scared to buy? Ooh, I don't know. I fell prey to this yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I'll buy a retest of the lows. And then I called my friend and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. It's like one of those things where you put the trade on or you say something and then I turn off the stream and I go, oh no. I can't believe I said that. You retest the lows, it's a gift. The bottom line is there is no case for lower Bitcoin. There is no case for lower Ethereum. There is no case for lower Solana. If anything, the chart looks better. We'll get to that. Okay. Prediction. Crypto prices will surge after sell-off. Seize your chance to buy now. Says an article in The Motley Fool, undoubtedly prompted or sponsored by BlackRock. Just kidding. Crypto market volatility fuels 1.2 billion of inflows into Binance. I mean, if you had chaos with fiat currencies, you had a recession going on in the United States, you had interest rates going nowhere but down, what would you do? Ripple has a partnership in UAE. There was a huge XRP rally recently. That entire rally was unwound. You get to do it all from the beginning. All from the beginning. And now here we go with what I call this whole confirmation thing. So Bitcoin really needs to be above 59K, 62K, 64K. I really need confirmation above 65K. I really only want to buy it if it makes an all-time high. Okay, now I'll buy it. And then it goes down. That's what's been happening in this market for months. It's called a four wave, meaning it's just, you just get chopped to death. You know what I'm saying? You just get crushed. But what has really changed? Nothing, except people's internal sentiment. Fear, greed yesterday at 17. That's for both stocks and equities. How are you going to go down with fear, greed at 17 with the Bank of Japan going, oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. We made the S&P go down 3%. How is that going to happen? Okay. Big Rich with the super chat, right? Can you look at Render? Yes. Okay. So let's take a look at Render. Okay, so this is the 4-hour chart of Render. Okay, so here's Render, 20-hour chart. Okay, so there were two take profit levels from LuxAlgo at 392 and 504. And it looks like, obviously, you hit both of them on the way down. This was a buy signal. Okay. There are 3 buy signals in Render as this thing was cascading lower. As this thing was cascading lower. Now, like all these coins, there's going to be resistance up at the top because the whole reason this down move occurred was because they took out support. You know what I'm saying? Like the chosen one, Arrow and Degen, who are launching right into live TA, which I am perfectly okay with. Okay. Yeah. Gohee was like, he was getting laughed at when he said 48K. You know what, man? I feel you. I was not thinking 48K. You know, the trading types really stole the show here. They did. But that's okay. Because, you know, even if you did the wrong thing, you zigged when you should have zagged. You can start dumping stuff and getting into stuff that's working. Okay, Arrow. Now, this is the DEX attached to base. So it's like the Uniswap of base. All right. And then you'll notice that despite the gymnastics, it's holding the 62% retracement of the recent up move at 65 cents. So what's the problem? It trades terrible. It's down, it's up. But at the end of the day, it bottomed, and now it's making more LuxAlgo bottoming signals. Okay, money flow is not exciting, but it looks like another puke. You have red on red money flow here. And this looks like, you know, another heave. More capitulation with LuxAlgo buy signals. I mean, yeah, you're going to have intense volatility. Degen. Okay, so Degen is getting difficult. I'm not going to lie. The volatility in this is unbelievable. So let's talk about Degen. I can't believe you could get more capitulation than you got right there from a LuxAlgo point of view with this red on red look. You have all kinds of buy signals literally all the way down. And, you know, you've got one right here in the sense that just, and this is pretty much every crypto. This hit the LuxAlgo green Bollinger Bands. Wait till I bring up ETH. It actually went to the bottom of the green Bollinger Band things on LuxAlgo. Okay. Okay. It's the signals and overlays. Okay. So Degen should go up. If Degen doesn't go up, then this capitulation is telling you that something is wrong. But this whole thing right here, I would call this very simply a give up trade. Everybody just totally packed it in on this crypto right here and gave up. And I can't think of a better time to jump into something that still has fundamental value except after a give up trade, and everyone's afraid that it won't go up. Okay, the pay window wants to look at Aave. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I kind of love Aave. I'm of the opinion that you're going to wake up one day and somebody's going to announce that they're coming into ETH DeFi because they just destroyed Ethereum. They just destroyed it. Okay. So this is my perspective on Aave. It's in a range, and like if I had to make a guess, if you'd like a cup of Kool-Aid this morning, right? This could be some type of accumulation cone. Could also be a handle on a cup and handle if you go to, say, a 3-day chart. It could be. Just a reminder, Aave makes money. Now, I realize everyone is waiting for the last cycle to come around where they buy something, it goes up 10x. Like my joke is, you wake up, you buy something, you go in the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, you go down, and by the time you get down to the lobby, they're pulling up your new Lambo because what you bought that morning just mooned. That's what everyone's waiting for. I don't think it's going to be that kind of cycle. Okay, this is a brutal consolidation and a brutal, you know, range that I think is going to resolve with a breakout on the upside. Okay, so yeah, Miklo is reminding you that it's a Coinbase alt, right? T-Bone likes Arrow. Okay, I know Aiken had one in here. Let me not let this get away from me as we go straight up and down live TA. I want to start mixing live TA in with the news. The audience helping me with that. Okay, Turbo. Let's go to 20 hour. It's kind of my gimmick time frame. Seems LuxAlgo works like amazing with 20-hour charts. So basically a 20-hour chart gives you almost like a New York stock market close for the candles. So, you know, Turbo, again, the LuxAlgo sell signal was right here on August 2nd, and the take profit levels were hit, both of them. It's pretty rare to see the second take profit level hit at 0.0029. So the recent lows feel like the low. This was the capitulation back here, and these are LuxAlgo buy signals. Now, I cannot come up with a reason to be negative on this. unless you have like a break of these current market structures, like these support levels, right? In other words, it's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. So if you can buy a dip and it holds, it's okay. If you can't, then I don't know. There's something else going on. There's a problem with stocks. There's going to be a problem with stocks. But what does that have to do with Bitcoin? In other words, the thing that everybody, I know we're talking about turbo here, but the thing about Bitcoin that I keep coming back to is it's decoupling. Bitcoin could be decoupling from stocks. And everybody is like not paying attention. Like Bitcoin could take a look at what the Bank of Japan did and go, you know what, guys? Have a nice day. BitBoy Al likes MicroStrategy. We'll chart that in a second. Okay, so nothing good is happening here from a support and resistance point of view because Doge broke a lot of levels. That said, you have a lot of bottoming signals here. Like all the trader types, all the trading signal indicators, all the DeMark stuff, all the LuxAlgo stuff, all that stuff is pointing to some sort of, clear local low, right? Now, as you saw this signal last time in Doge right here. Now, again, this decline in Doge was pretty severe. I liked Doge at 15 cents. So if I like Doge at 15 cents, man, I got to love it at 9. But you can still see people selling because there are bag holders and because it's below support. It's below support. So people are continuing to sell. Okay. Let them sell. Let them see what happens. People may start rearranging portfolios aggressively, right? NASDAQ is off its high, just keep keeping you briefed here. So, we're doing like the on the fly market update. So, stocks where in my mind, everything is not all right. It's not. Because again, when the Bank of Japan has to back off like that, there must be a problem out there somewhere. There must be a problem out there. It could be with them. Why did they back off? To me, that's not exactly bullish equities. It's not. Like equities to me feels like dead money. And this feels like, some kind of bear flag where it's an accident going someplace to happen. I mean, equities retraced, the 38% of the move, which is typical, right? Now, if they get frisky and they want to take it up, they can take it up here, but I don't know, man. Stocks or Bitcoin, stocks or Ethereum. Let's look at Ethereum before I forget. I mean, like when I looked at this, I looked at it and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Right. So these are LuxAlgo bands, right? And, sometimes you get to the top of a band, like the top, right? Like the very top, like in March of 2024, when ETH hit 4,000, you were at the top of the band. Now this band was flat and ETH went straight down and hit the absolute bottom of the band, where you had multiple LuxAlgo buy signals, where ETH went to close to the second take profit target from this sell signal up here at 2035. Now, we don't know what's going on with money flow yet in ETH, but what exactly is the case for ETH at 2,000 again? I mean, yeah, you're going to have volatility. That's the whole this is the regime. That's what it's called. This is a high volatility regime. This is something where you get up from your desk and you go pick up your dry cleaning and eat a ham sandwich and you come back and the thing is 3% or 2% in either direction. That is the new normal. But it's like, why would we get down there again unless something horrible happens? I mean, dips are for buying. Rallies are for portfolio reorganization. And Bitcoin could have, I don't know, a stable week and a half. And even if Bitcoin does go back down, there's going to be somebody down there. There is. Because central banks are in a pickle that they can't get out of. The U.S. economy is still rolling over. That's what stocks are telling you. This clearly favors Bitcoin. Okay. Okay. So Aiken is asking me, what is your definition of a BTC decoupling? Okay. So let's go to the Bitcoin ETF. Let's go to PowerPoint. Well, actually, let's go to MicroStrategy first. The definition of a Bitcoin decoupling is the things that make equities go down make Bitcoin go up. Obviously, it'd be a decoupling if you just saw, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going up and stocks are going down. I guess it's a decoupling. A decoupling occurs when the same set of circumstances produce a bid in one thing and a down move in another. So if you have a recession and central banks that are, I don't know, what term can you use for central banks these days? Weak? Scared? No conviction? That hurts legacy. That fuels Bitcoin. So here's MicroStrategy on a 4-hour chart, right? Here's a big support shelf near, say, 1260. I cannot come up with one single reason other than a general blowout in S&P to be negative on MicroStrategy, especially after you live through this. And I got to tell you, this guy I know, I swear, he's got to be like one of the smartest people in crypto. You want to know what he said? He's like, you know what? If you lived through this nightmare candle, you should reward yourself for not puking and hang on for the upside. I'm like, what a great way to say it. Because, you know, of course, you're going to watch this thing start going down again. You're going to be like, oh my God, here we go again. No, you can be like, you know what? They couldn't get me out. If they couldn't get me out, I'm super brave and I'm super strong. I am the samurai warrior. They couldn't get me out. I'm going to hang on for something better. Let's live TA the Bitcoin ETF. Okay. The pay window wants to talk about the BCT chart. Are we talking about the BTC chart? Let's look at the BTC chart. We're talking about Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Okay, so let's, again, can't take full credit for this. So for all the fancy stuff I got on this chart, something really simple wound up working. So what was so special about 50K other than the fact it was 50K, right? Well, check this out. This goes all the way back to January of 2024. So this level right here on January 10th, right? Bitcoin was right at 49K. And I was like, is there something special about January? Huh. I wonder. So, you know, my friend goes, yeah, just go back to the Bitcoin ETF. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Hey, is that January 11th when the Bitcoin ETF first started trading? So that's IBIT. There's January 11th. There's where the Bitcoin ETF started trading. Okay. This bottom line is where it opened right here. Very quietly. Okay. What did we just do? Well, we took everybody up here and we checked to make sure that they still liked Bitcoin because we flushed them all out. I'm like, okay, it's a little check, you know, a little check. Like you go to the doctor, puts the glove on, gives a little check. Whoop. Yen carry trade blows up. What's the yen carry trade? Well, I don't know. Well, let's sell anyway. All they did was fill the gap from when the Bitcoin ETF started. They brought you back to square one. And Larry and Michael were standing down there taking all your Bitcoin. Right where the whole trade started from. I saw this. I'm like, oh my God. And then you have the Bank of Japan going, we're sorry. We didn't mean it. And they're selling it again today. They're selling it today because they're afraid. You know, you have bag holders, you have people who are like, oh my God, I have to reorganize my portfolio. I have to get out. You do have to reorganize your portfolio. You have to get out of anything that's not working. And you have to get into stuff that is working. Now, I know Solana is hot. I know Solana could go up a lot. I don't know if I agree with FOMOing into Solana at 160 just because you don't like Ethereum anymore. You will get dips. Solana is a classic case. I mean, Solana this morning looked like it was going, it looked like it was going to 200 this morning. And that's the environment that we're in, right? And you don't want to necessarily fall into a trap where you wind up, you know, FOMOing into resistance. Okay, this is an 89-minute chart of Solana. It's very nice that they're trying to give you a dip back to 144. Very nice of them. Okay, FOMOing into resistance doesn't work. Buying support might. Buying support might. It's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. Now, you know, here's an example of something that, you know, maybe has to get tossed, right? Cardano. We got to start asking ourselves if we're 30 days away from a bottom, right? If we're going to have like multiple events between now and the lunar eclipse in September, whether or not you want to start getting rid of stuff that's not going to work so you can accumulate stuff that will. Not necessarily picking on Cardano specifically, but if it's a choice between Cardano or ETH when it's down, or Cardano and Solana or Bitcoin, to me, that's not even a contest, right? Midnight Club says FOMOing into resistance, not doing that. Wise words. Yes, I appreciate that. Somebody is asking, did I mention SUI? No, I did not. And I understand it that Grayscale, let me just show you this. Okay. Grayscale launched 2 new products. One of them is SUI. Here's something funny about this ETF game that people have not yet figured out. Grayscale is going to let BlackRock and Cathie Wood own Bitcoin and Solana, and they're going to open up these stock market products for all these other altcoins. And you're going to be able to go to Grayscale and you're going to be able to, like, you know, do what you do in stocks. Like, you know, the S&P has what are called spiders. They're ETFs that, like, you can have the spider real estate ETF, the basic materials, the communications, the software, etc. Right? You can buy a basket of ETFs that all do different things. Guess what Grayscale is going to do? They're going to have like the SUI and Tau Trust. They just opened it. It's right here, right? And they open these things and everyone's like, oh, gee, that's nice. I'm not going to pay attention to that. Well, you know what, folks? You better, because if they just keep doing this, this creates an organic bid for certain types of altcoins, right? You know, they're going to invest in Tau and SUI, and they've got like a $5 Bitcoin trust product. So if you look at the chart as asked, you know, SUI doing well this morning, up 4%. Okay, it's taken out. Let me get the LuxAlgo Elliott wave going. Okay, so it looks to me like the level that SUI has to take out is 0.065, because that was the high of the previous 4th wave. In other words, that was the level where the give up trade started from. So if SUI gets above 0.65, guess what? They have a whole new buyer. Because if crypto starts to go up, you know, some equities people, some people will, you know, go to Coinbase. Morgan Stanley can now recommend the Bitcoin ETF. Okay. So do you think in a conversation about the Bitcoin ETF with a financial advisor that somebody might ask the financial advisor, what else is out there? Like, in other words, a financial advisor now theoretically can call you up and say, let's discuss Bitcoin. But in the course of that conversation, would they discuss Grayscale's product? Zcash, which was a curse for the market, unfortunately, doubled off the Zcash trust. Grayscale has a Zcash product. So note, LuxAlgo is inserting support on a tactical chart as SUI does this dramatic recovery, right? If we go to a 20-hour chart, like more of a daily, yeah, I mean, you know, there's a 5-wave bottom. So, you know, LuxAlgo tells you that, you know, that's it. So, you know, that's the 5-wave down here. Okay, here are the LuxAlgo DeMark-esque triangle formations down here. Here is massive capitulation. Massive capitulation. All hoovered up by Grayscale. I mean, yes, you know, like at a common sense level, SUI has to like clear that point. It's got to clear that previous 4th wave. But I mean, if you look at a big picture Elliott wave analysis, like just to unwind, just to do a normal retracement, just to do a normal retracement of this down move, it's called attacking the previous 4th wave. So again, like DeMark, it's very helpful to have these markings from LuxAlgo. You can see this was the top of the 4 wave. That's 90 cents. So based on Elliott wave theory, the minimum rally that you should have in SUI, even if it's still a down market, even if it's still a bear trend, the minimum retracement is to where the give up trade started from, which is 90 cents. Now, will this give you a dip? Probably. Everybody else seems to be getting a little 2% dip. What should you do when you get the dip? Okay. So Aiken is asking, does LuxAlgo have anything about Mercury and retrograde? Not that I'm aware of, but I have that data inside my historical software. I have that data. I used it to do something about the new moon, which predicted like extreme volatility in Bitcoin, 15% either way over the next 3 weeks. Now, it had kind of a negative bend to it. So maybe you get the dip in Bitcoin. But again, at a philosophical level, I cannot possibly come up with the reason to be negative. Okay, so people asking for buy points in Render. Okay, let's see if we can get something on Render on a weekly. Okay. So Render on a weekly chart, right? So the buy zone in Render, even though it's probably right now far away from where it is, this is weekly Render. The buy signal at the top of this zone is $4 even. Okay, the middle of the zone is 374. There are inflation numbers coming up. You might see them. Okay, if we look at a tactical level in Render, you're in the buy zone, right? In other words, LuxAlgo has inserted support underneath this rally. So even though Render has done its thing for the moment, this thing shows 460. So it's almost like a DCA program, like 460, $4, 374. I know that's broad, but who knows? The market may come right to you because, like I said, the sharks are out there, right? Everybody like sold 2 days ago, FOMO'd in this morning. Everyone's losing money. Don't do that. Don't get caught in that. All right. Midnight Club, digging the show. Thank you. This is a reminder that this research, charts, other work is available in Patreon. So don't forget to visit patreon.com/unhinged crypto. Okay. Up there on the QR code. Please check that out. Please check that out. It will be worth it in this market, because when this thing turns for like the super bullish, but this is the time to get ready with your research, with your charts, with your positions, right? Like we put a report out in the Patreon store. I'm going to show it here. Like, you know, everyone on YouTube wants to tell you that they know everything. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody knows everything. Matter of fact, the only thing you really know are probabilities. That's the best you know. Okay. Now, inside Patreon, inside the store, right? Inside the store, I have something. I have a report. It's called DeFi. Everything has changed. And one of the things I did in this report that was different from other reports, you know, this one, the hot alts, like we picked the coins that we think for the next cycle. In this particular case, instead of using charts per se, I did a spreadsheet showing support and resistance levels that were actually rather far away from where the market was. And I bet a lot of those levels got hit. A lot of them did. So you can check out the report and check out the coins and see where it is versus support and resistance. You know, if you're allergic to the $15 monthly chart, you can pick up this. And then I have Bitcoin September targets. Like you'd be shocked at what the average base case target for September is and what the wild moon boy target is based on history. Like what happens if you do have a bank failure in September? What happens if this is the decoupling? What happens if the things that make stocks go down make Bitcoin go up? I think that's how you kind of have to look at it from here on out. Okay, believe it or not, we never did PowerPoint. We did a lot of it, but not all of it. Okay, now I am going to switch over here back into the chat. Okay, here comes PowerPoint. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Okay. Be Cashy. I like this. I got to help this guy. Be Cashy. Yo, I'm late. Have I looked at Bitcoin Cash yet? No, I have not. Let's look at Bitcoin Cash. Now, Bitcoin Cash has the, you know, this has the Mt. Gox vulnerability. Like whatever they sell out of Mt. Gox in Bitcoin will undoubtedly get hoovered up. But just as a reminder, with all these things, it hit the bottom of the green band, right? Like how many times is Bitcoin Cash knifed into this band? 2 times recently. How many times before that? Like in some of these cases, you got to go back to like, oh wait, a puke last year in August. Huh. What a coincidence that you had a final puke in August that led to the bottom in Bitcoin Cash. Huh. Are we going to do the same thing all over again? Going to have a little problem in stocks middle of the month? Give us a nice dippy in Bitcoin to just hoover it all up, man. Just hoover it all up. BlackRock's down there waiting. They were down there waiting 2 days ago, and I knew that. Everybody knew that. Just that it was so extreme, people lost their mind. They did. I mean, I say this on the stream. If the market goes down, you will be afraid. And then you're like, no, you're not. And I say the same thing. No, I won't. I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm taking this. But it's like, oh, yeah, you know, aircraft carriers moving around. And, oh, my God, you know, central banks losing their mind. You know, everyone's like, oh, my God, I'm so afraid. Let me adjust my downside target to 35K to make sure I'm protected in case it just completely collapses. These are the same people that were talking about 88 at Bitcoin Nashville. It's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. And I say buy a dip that they can't take out those other lows, particularly in Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin Cash has Mt. Gox overhang. They're going to need a catalyst to get going. That doesn't mean there can't be one. Hey, the future of money is out there. It is. And as far as I'm concerned, you've started the decoupling. When central banks admit that they don't have control, the decoupling has started. It has. It's not on your screen right now. Okay. Now, Zano trading well for our friend here. Then I'm going back to PowerPoint. I don't know. Max upside target. It looks like 331. I don't know. Maybe you take some profits at resistance. You know, if it's gangbusters and it breaks out, you know, at a tactical level, 382 for my friend. Again, please remember to hit the like button. Oh, and I need to share the screen so he can see it. See? Okay. Zano, 331 is resistance. 382 is up here. Okay. Bitcoin Cash hit the bottom of its Bollinger Band. You will have to take my word for it on that. I want to go to PowerPoint. Okay. Lucas noting that, you know, VIX turned lower, right? Okay. Tribesman is asking, you know, Tribesman is asking me about, you know, a place I used to hang out. You know, I wish them the best. I know they're trying something new. You know, I want everybody in crypto to do well. Everybody. Crypto doesn't need less successful groups. They need more successful groups. Okay, Bitcoin on a DeMark chart. So we have a 9 bottom. Okay, in DeMark, when you see the 13s, this means warning of the end of a trend. When you see a 9, it could be the end of a trend or a pause in the trend. After you get a 9 signal, what should you be leery of? A failed rally. Want to know why I love today's price action? Because we're not doing, I mean, yeah, the market is way off the low, but we're not doing this euphoric spike up today, right? Now, the market is off the low, and I do not want to see a horrendous failed rally. Hesitation, okay. A range, okay. Scary dips, fine. I do not want to see 61K. We are so back, boom, 55K. I do not want to see that. I don't even want to see anything resembling that, because that means you could have 2 more down weeks. That doesn't really fit the current roadmap in crypto of, I don't see it going back down to lows. That's just too tighty for everybody. Okay, Bitcoin traveling in this linear regression band. You know, they blew through the bottom. They blew through the bottom, and then they took out the top at Bitcoin Nashville, and take out the bottom, take out the top, take out the bottom, take out the top. That seems to be the game. And there's the Bitcoin ETF support point. Why we would go back down there, I just don't know. I just don't know. But you can have extreme volatility throughout the rest of this month, because clearly if the Bank of Japan backed off, even if you don't understand it, there is some kind of problem out there. But that kind of problem is just an epic reason to own crypto. Now, Solana. The great news about Solana is that we're done with the stupid triangle. That's the good news. Solana is now traveling in a square, supported by the late 2023 high at 120. So Solana in a square, Solana in the middle of a square. Probably not that interesting. A lot of people wanted to FOMO in the middle of a square. Don't do it. Okay, the trader predators are out there. They're selling it to you at 200 and they're buying it back at 120. Now, if you get a dip in Solana, or Solana just kind of goes sideways, yeah, Solana can move to the top end of the band easily. Easily, particularly if you get like a push higher in Bitcoin. Now, should you buy Solana because ETH is dead? No, you should buy Solana because it's going to be a payment system. Okay, Solana has resistance at 167. So if you did a tactical trade and you're looking for a profit-taking level, that would be it. Bitcoin on a weekly chart. This now has new meaning. 48K was a huge support shelf. I was like, maybe it has to go down there. Maybe. Or maybe BlackRock and Michael Saylor were standing down there, and that's why it pulled up short. Now, sometimes when it pulls up short, it's not great, but there's a wall of support right underneath 50. So I don't know if there's a reason to go to 50, because the Bank of Japan said, we'll never do this again. We're very sorry. And mortgage applications are falling out of bed. The Fed is going to have to admit this at some point. And if they don't, the equity market's going to force them to admit it, because that's what happens, right? Stock market wants a rate cut. Great. We'll just wreck the market. We only got to take it down 5%. And if they don't get that, we'll take it down 8%, and then they'll get it. They're going to do what we want. And if that's the kind of world we're living in, you selling Bitcoin in that world? I'm not. XRP, all the way up, all the way back down again. What's changed? Nothing. Nothing has changed. There's a better case for fast money. So, if Bitcoin Cash doesn't come back, XRP might. I hope Bitcoin Cash does come back, because I do like the idea of fast Bitcoin. I do. Bitcoin on a weekly chart. There's two things to keep in mind, right? The big trend earlier in the year, that was the ETF. That was wave 3. Big trends have 5 waves. Wave 4 is terrible. Wave 2 is boring. Wave 4, you get chopped to bits. Like, this is up only for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And this is just everyone loses money. Everyone loses money. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm losing sleep. I'm losing sleep over this. Support is at 48K. The DeMark work is telling you that this is going to be a low, and then you are going to start a very impulsive and emotional 5-wave up. That's probably going to go on for 6 months. And everybody's worried about, is it 50? Is it 55? Is it 48? Michael Saylor's bearish case is like 3 million or some crazy number. Like, you see, I just went through the slides. I can hear the guy's voice. We're all worried about 55K. The decoupling has started. I just don't care. I mean, I want to be in the right stuff, obviously. And I also want to be out of the wrong stuff, right? In other words, what do you do? Like, say your girlfriend. What does your girlfriend do before she goes shopping? Like, what's an excuse to go shopping? Well, a sale, right? I mean, your significant other comes home with something and goes, oh, I had to get this. It was on sale. And then, well, I mean, if the closet's cleaned out, if you clean out the closet and take a trip to Goodwill and there's a sale, well, then you're just coming home with everything, right? Clean out the closet, take advantage of the sale. Charlie Bilello, a macro thinker, reminding you that this is the 29th S&P correction of 5% or more since 2009, and he notes correctly, they all seemed like the end of the world at the time. Wow, was he ever right? Because it did look like the end of the world. I mean, when ETH hit 2,000 and I'm seeing, ETH down for the year, I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Steve J wanted me to look at Maple and DeFi Perp. Yes, I would be happy to. Let's go back to live TA, because that seems to be the flavor of the day, especially if I remember to share the screen. Okay. Huckleberry Native loves live TA. I got a friend who is like, let's do less news and more live TA. If you're into that, especially if we call it like LuxAlgo Live and have like a special show for it, feel free to leave a comment in the chat or down below. Commenting down below does help the stream and the channel. Okay, so DeFi Perp taking it on the proverbial chin with everything else. No one wants to buy DeFi. I don't know, man. Goldman is coming. That's in my head. Like, I don't know anybody over there. It's been such a long time, but I just can't help but think that big investment banks have now got a golden opportunity. All of these signals in LuxAlgo all the way down. Buy, 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 buy. And look at the capitulation in this. Look at this. Look at this red on red. I mean, that's worse Then the July 4th capitulation. I mean, this is like everybody out of DeFi. Everybody. I mean, is there anybody left other than Steve? Me and Steve. Is anyone left long DeFi? What happens if everyone comes back in? Okay, so realistically, hyperbole aside, DeFi perp has to hold 542. And, you know, from a trading point of view, if it rotates back up, it should attack resistance somewhere around 669. Okay, again, you want to give up on this here? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, CB is like, dude, we want more live TA. What kind of question is that? Okay, got it. Okay, the pay window. Litecoin. Should probably cover Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash and Maple. You know, this Maple token, you know, we like this project, but this volatility, I mean, this goes to show something very important when you look at the Maple token, right? When you look at this, it's a story that nothing outperforms forever. Like with markets like this, they eventually get you, as strange as that sounds. So Maple has a tremendous summer. It goes all the way up to 21, goes from 11 to 21, and then it goes from 21 to 10. So this was a LuxAlgo point. That was the take profit point for the short at 10. There are multiple LuxAlgo buy signals that actually occurred just before the final capitulation. So this completely irrational heave was completely irrational. And then Maple goes up to a prior support point, it wicks up and comes off. You know, the intensity of the volatility in this, once it stabilizes, I don't know, man. This feels like where you want to be entering. It's giving you a chance to get in. Let's look at Litecoin. So Litecoin, Zcash, XRP, when they outperform, the market gets spanked, but the market's done getting spanked, right? So, you know, the support point in Litecoin was 52. LuxAlgo is giving you an X signal, which is like their DeMark 13. You were below the bottom Bollinger, the LuxAlgo signals and overlay band. Like I've wanted to have these bands for a long time because a couple people have them and they're really nifty, right? I mean, you hit the bottom of the band in July, straight up. You blow through the bottom of the band, you stop everyone. Is there anyone left? Who's left? Nobody. Nobody's left. And the thing is, there's people are so scared that every time there's a rally, bag holders are getting out. Now, just from a straight TA point of view, right? CB with the super chat. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Okay. Now I understand that, you know, logically there's going to be a lot of volatility as people try to process Litecoin as it does, you know, tries to do a reclaim above this old low. But, you know, as these traders like to do, right? The trading types, you know, it goes down, they get everybody out, right? So you go down, you get everybody out, and then you come back up and you do a reclaim. Then you come back down, you retest it, and then you go up. Like just look at the 89-minute chart, right? Down, stop loss, come back up, hesitate, don't move. It could go back down. It could, but I'm scared. Bang. You know what, folks? It never trades good at a bottom. Never. You look at this market today, you're like, oh, God, this looks terrible. Never looks good at a bottom. Looks horrible. It was that way on July 4th. Okay. Bitcoin Cash. Okay. You got a lot of support on the 20-hour chart at 310. Okay. The question is, do you have overhang from Mt. Gox? You know, now that I've done this for the second time, I just made a decision. I don't care. Because you got all this capitulation again. Like, how many capitulations in Bitcoin Cash do we need to have? Like, here's the Mt. Gox in July. And, you know, we had to do a little extra because we had to make sure we got everybody out. Who's long this stuff now? Who's left? Who's still here? Right? Just my friend said it. He's like, look, if you hung around, some notorious love here. If you hung around, if you tolerated this volatility, you gotta stick around to see if you get rewarded. I mean, getting rid of stuff that's not working is one thing, but like just arbitrarily puking out of your crypto because you're upset, it makes no sense. Or not getting involved in crypto because you're too scared also does not make sense. Okay, this is Galaxy Digital in the US equity market. This has like a little cult following now on Twitter, I see. Okay, so Galaxy's got resistance around $10. Okay, note how Galaxy went down to all the LuxAlgo take profit points, and there are all kinds of green signals right here at the lows. Okay, and it was like below the bottom Bollinger Band on the 4-hour chart. I mean, when was the last time, like if you just, you know, try to like, I know, you know, these charts are busy, but I mean, if you look at this green band, I mean, when was the last time Galaxy actually went down to the bottom of the green band? It's like, I can't even find it, right? I mean, that alone, like this alone, like, oh, okay, we're going to retest this low. Really? Are we? Wow. You know, you pressed it all the way down here. What is the case for doing that? I don't know. Okay. Okay. Willimeter is a little late. You're never too early. You're never too late. You're right on time. Cossacks is like, let's go crypto. CB hits the like button on the way out. Okay. Now, just as a reminder, the show is brought to you by my Patreon. There is a lot of useful research in there. Okay. And then you can watch me get it right and get it wrong. I think the time to get it right is at hand. Right? Notice traders have had their fun. Right? Everybody sold. Fine. Traders bought. Everybody bought this morning. Traders sold, right? They've had their fun. But if central banks have lost face, if central banks have lost credibility, if there's a recession in the US, this is a recipe for Bitcoin to go up and for everything else other than Bitcoin and TradFi to not do as well or to become like a zombie market. It is a question of time before Bitcoin wakes up, even if they do manage to retest the lows. Even if something terrible happens, I don't care if something terrible happens. What's worse than Sunday unless you have like a human tragedy event? Like what's going to be worse than that? You had the perfect storm already. It's like the COVID low. It's like, oh yeah, I want to wait for a retest of the COVID low before I buy. Or at 2017, it's like, oh yeah, I want to wait for a retest of 20K before I get out. You're not getting that, right? And ironically, the worse it trades, like, you know, you look at the screen, you're like, oh God, Coinbase down 4%. Whoa, I don't know if I want to do this. I want to buy regional banks instead. You see what I'm saying? You look at the screen and it's playing tricks on your head, right? The sharks in the water. Don't let the sharks in the water scare you, right? Now, obviously, don't tie a stake to your foot and stick it in the water by selling weakness or buying strength. But the simple fact of the matter is, whether you understand what went on in the legacy currency market with the Japanese, all you need to know is that they capitulated at the first sign of trouble. Why? Because there's going to be a catastrophic failure if they continue to try to do normal adjustments. That's how fragile the system is. And does that ring a bell? Yeah, that sounds like why Satoshi wrote the Bitcoin white paper. So you want to stay with this channel. You want to subscribe to make sure you get notifications. you want to join Patreon because we got all kinds of cool stuff in there, particularly historical analysis, where we can look at moon cycles, Mercury in retrograde, the history of stocks, past moves in Bitcoin. We nailed it on the way down with the Zcash curse. And you know what? We're going to nail this on the way back up. The lows are in. We'll see you soon.